By the way, you saw the thumbnail? Oh, welcome. I didn't know we were live, but yes. But bro, it doesn't matter using welcome because your audio is dead. Adjust my frame.
What happened to your frame?
I'm not in the
my audio should
center.
be good. Oh yeah, shit! I just realized. Sorry. You switched number. You came back home, so I had to change your shit. Okay, that should be.
Yeah, your audio is good.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome. Hello. I'm glad you guys could join us.
Welcome.
This is the Nandemo Podcast where Sid and I talk about random shit in life. And today we're going to be talking about a subject close to our hearts. Yeah. Detail. We're going to be talking about education.
Yeah. Is this close? Yes. Education.
Your heart is
Education.
the side here, right? Like in the around the stomach area.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little lower next to the butt. That's where the heart is.
Yes, that's where the heart is. Yes. Oh, no wonder getting shot through the heart gets so, it's so painful because it goes straight through the butt. Did I see your shirt? No, I didn't.
Exactly. Take a look at this.
I have no words.
Hey, what the fuck? I appreciated your new t-shirt when you got it now from your friend.
Underground Boat Shop on Reddit asks, do you skate? Yes, I do skate. I just skate very, very badly and I end up falling every single time. So
Wait, you're talking about roller skating, bro, or skateboarding?
Sid, it doesn't matter. Everything I skate with, I end up falling. Anyway. Just a quick little update. Sid, I hate you. I watched the second episode of Chef's Table season. What are we at? 5? Yeah.
6, I think.
Yeah. And
man. Insane.
When he spreads the sauce and the bubble over there just like bounces, I wanted to kill somebody.
Fucking bubble.
Yeah, I wanted to kill somebody. I've never hated a person more than I hate you right now.
Yeah, that guy's fucking dude. The quality of bread, like just the dough that comes out, like that toasted like out of his oven, like it looks heavenly, heavenly. And there's that shot where he dips it in olive oil. You remember?
Yeah.
Like imagine how insane that tastes, dude. Just imagine.
I hate you. That's all I can say.
I want it so bad. Yeah. Roman pizza is a thing on its own.
But anyway. Why are you showing my crotch to people? Okay. The camera operator today is fucking around, so anyway. Oh, okay. Our camera operator is not going to be holding it permanently.
Shout out to our audio listeners who are wondering what the fuck is happening because you haven't started yet.
Yeah. But anyway, Sid, just start with education. I'm looking to see if I can put the camera on a higher surface because the lower angle makes me look fat.
That's okay. We're accepting of stuff like that.
No, I'm not.
A problem, bro.
But yeah, you can start. What do you think, Sid? What are your points? We're going to do a slightly different format. We're going to be talking about all the points we have first and then giving our opinion about it later. And that should be... we're going to try that. Yeah. Anyway, you can start. Ignore the camera stuff that's going on.
So if we talk about education, right? What it is, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of definitions online talk about like a systemic way of giving instructions, receiving instructions, a systemic method, where you have to go to the institution, blah, blah, blah. But or education, like for me, if I just think about it, like without looking at definitions or anything online, it's more like important knowledge about the world that you receive in like your formative years, right? For me, that's what education is. But I don't use the word like a systemic method of instruction or like going to an institution or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So do you also associate education with a system or like an institution, as a place where you get such instruction?
So there are really two sides to it. Education can be something that you do on your own, where you just learn stuff for the fun of it, which is something that I truly think that I don't think I consider that education. I consider that learning. But education, is a systemic thing where you usually are being taught something by someone, or you are being in a institution of some sort and being forced to follow the rules and so on, and you have to do all that shit.
So
So
that makes
I
more
do,
sense to you. So
yeah, that
okay.
does.
But so only if I'm going to a school or university, it's education.
Yeah,
It's like I can use that word.
yeah.
But
Because
if
anywhere
I
else you're
like
just
learnt it
learning.
on my, yeah. But even there I'm learning, but I'm just
Yeah,
not using the
it's
word
just that there are a
education.
lot more things happening. There are a lot more uh, ideas that come with the word education than just learning alone, which is something we will be discussing more in as
Yes,
the
of
podcast
course.
goes on. But that is the main thing for me, because there isn't a lot of depth when it comes to learning, except for the actual learning part. You're just learning. You're just learning something new. You're figuring out. You're improving your skills, or broadening your mind, and so on, so on, blah blah. But when it comes to education, there's always there's a lot of stuff that comes with it, which makes it systemic in many different ways. So that is something that I think makes a world of difference when it comes to the definition of
So
learning
can
versus
we
education.
okay, can we start by talking about the differences, what differentiates these things?
Well, again, if you're learning, you're usually in an environment of
Hmm.
your choosing. You're usually in a comfort zone. You're probably learning it online now. Everyone does it online now. But
Now
you're
or
doing
like
something.
privately,
Yeah,
private
you're
classes, like anything. Yeah.
yeah, or your well, education in private classes where you go as a group and there's a teacher and that sort of stuff is still,
So you're
I
saying
believe,
education has to be in a group.
or an institution. So even if I go to an institution of any sort, then I consider that education, because there are rules that have to be followed and things that you have to do to be a part of the institute. But learning can literally just be me making a pizza at home and trying to improve my skills. Be like, hey, I'm learning
Hmm.
something new. I learned how to make a bubbly, bubbly dough, which I unfortunately
Yeah.
cannot. And it gives me endless pain and sadness.
But if you go to, for example, if you go to like Cordon Bleu or something and learn how to make a pizza, that's education, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm
Hmm.
saying.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
what do you
Okay.
think?
Hmm. For
Actually, wait.
me, like what?
Do you believe in this thing? Do you believe that uh, institute is required for it to be education?
No, I don't think the institute is required. Like, of course, everywhere you read online, they do mention an institute or establishment of some kind, like this
Hmm.
body, their entity, where you go, you follow rules and all these things. But I don't think, for me, education is more about the process of teaching and learning than the place you do it or how you do it. So for
Hmm.
me, even like me learning something myself online or privately through someone, I would call it education, even though, like, of course, that's not the way it's defined,
Hmm.
but
But then
i would
what is
i
the
would
difference
call that
between learning and
education.
education in that case?
Doesn't education involve both, like teaching and learning, right? It's not
Yeah,
only, it's like the
but
whole process of that. Hmm.
yeah, but there can be a teacher and a
Hmm.
learner in even when you're learning something. Like for example, you taught me the basics of design, and I was learning from you, but that was an education.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah, maybe it's the, like, how serious it is, because the way I taught you is like as a friend, like in a very casual way. We were just sitting in a cafe and I was like, yeah, this is this, like, just check this out, right?
yeah, but
It wasn't
that's still like something that I still carry to this day. I learned Illustrator as well from you, if you remember the things you made me do on Illustrator, and that was
yes,
something.
that I did.
So that was something that was very casual, but still very important, because I
Yeah,
was.
because like if you would say, like, sorry to cut you off,
Hmm,
but if you were saying you're like educated in something, I've never used that word, but
of
people do,
course,
right?
yeah.
So if you would say, like, for example, a language, like I'm educated in this language, like,
Hmm.
do you have to have learned it at like an institute? Like if you learned it by yourself, you can't use that word,
Well,
is
again,
what you're saying.
that's something I think you can say I'm educated in this, but and I mean that's a really weird thing to say. Why would you say I'm educated in this subject? But I suppose
I've
you
heard
could.
a
That
lot
just
of people
comes.
use it in India specifically, right? Like education is like the selling point for most people. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
I've
I
never
mean,
said it, but
in India, degrees are what matters in the end anyway.
yeah,
Whether you
exactly.
know the subject matter is a second thought.
Hmm.
So yeah, but
And it's
yeah,
more than learning skills, of course. Like you learn about life and like a lot of things, right?
hmm.
Through education.
I don't. It's not necessarily a good thing.
Like, is homeschooling not education to you, for example?
Homeschooling would be education. It just depends on who's doing the homeschooling, because the people who usually do homeschooling are the people who should not be doing homeschooling.
Yeah. No, but would you count that? Like, if someone said,
Yeah,
"I am
of course.
homeschooled,"
Yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah.
So
Because
even that's
what's
a more casual setting. Like, it's not casual compared. You're still like sitting and
yeah,
studying,
you're still
but it
studying, you're
doesn't
still
have
learning.
the same environment as you would in a school, for example.
Yeah, definitely. Your social skills might be a little lackluster depending on what kind of home schooling you're getting.
Might
If
be,
there's nothing else, if there's nothing else where
for
you're
sure, for
put in a
sure.
social
Hmm.
situation. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It really depends on a lot of different things. But
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
main thing that I believe is also I'm literally like furiously. I forgot to save the
What are you
link that
doing?
I forgot to save the link that I was looking at when I wanted to quote the link, and then now I'm like furiously searching for it. I'm like, God damn it, where is it? But
Check
basically,
history, bro.
it's this thing. Education is basically a way of controlling or programming kids in to become like good little robots to come out later in life and do
That's
something.
one way of saying it, though.
It is
I
the
wouldn't say
way
that's
of saying it. That is the truth
no. Wait,
and
are you
nothing
in
but
your
the
like
truth.
depressive phase again?
No, I'm not. I genuinely
Okay,
believe this
okay.
from the
That's
start.
one perspective on it, but I understand. Like, that's one type of education. It's the most popular type, I would say, but that's not the only thing it is.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So what we need to
Hmm.
define what education means. If you're talking
Yeah.
about sitting in an institution, then it automatically
Hmm.
becomes a form of social
Hmm.
control.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you know what? I'm giving up on finding this
Yeah,
fucking link.
and
But yeah,
no, but
it's a
that's
form of
okay.
social
We get
control
the
at the end of the
point.
day.
Like, yeah, it is a form of, it can be a form of social control, but also depends on the school you go to and the system they use to give education. It may be different, right?
Yeah, but there are
Because
very
now,
few schools and education methods or systems in place that actually do not end up contributing to control in some way or the other, which I will talk about. There are a few examples. I'm not saying
I wouldn't
literally
say
every single
control per
place is.
se, because, but yeah, I'll let you, like, before I say anything, I'll let you talk about more on that in detail.
Okay.
Because, like, I wouldn't use the word control to describe it, but I get the intention you're trying to put out. Hmm.
Okay, one sec. We have some comments.
Hmm.
Control and says the
Hmm.
place is good to bring like-minded people and necessary resources under one place. The government or company funds a place because individual funding will be tedious and require specialization.
Hmm.
If just
Hmm.
skills are important, then institution is not required, but you have to find necessary skills slash knowledge yourself. Depends on where you're getting educated. If you go to robot school and don't do anything yourself, you'll become a robot. And that's what most people do. They go to robot school,
Yeah, it
they become
depends
robots, and they
on.
don't realize
Hmm.
that they're becoming robots. But the main thing,
Yeah,
the reason
yeah.
I call it a method of social control is because it literally.
Hmm.
So I forgot which philosopher it was, but they basically said that schools are like prisons, and work is also like a
Hmm.
prison. But basically, you have these rules put down for children who you shouldn't be put subjected to rules in such cases in any way, and you have these
For
abstract,
sure.
absolutely
Hmm.
nonsense rules that don't even make sense. Like one thing, I don't
Yeah.
know how much of a global thing this is, but I think it is because literally
Hmm.
everyone talks about it, which is eating in class. Like as if you're not supposed to fucking eat. Like if you're hungry, just
You
fucking
mean
eat.
during class?
Yeah. Like it's
Hmm.
like how is food going into my mouth going to distract me from being able to absorb information? I genuinely do not understand that. That is something that I really hated from a very young age, and it's also something that makes zero sense in a world type of thing.
Hmm.
Also, hey, do you
Hmm.
Anthony on Twitch says, hey, do you guys work in marketing? If so, do you have any ideas how to promote or market a film? Sorry for the weird question, dude. We literally do everything related to media. Okay, literally anything related to media, we can do it. But you can join our Discord and PM us if
You
you want
mean,
some
bro?
help.
I don't work in marketing, so I don't know much. I'm
Oh yeah, he
sorry.
only works in animation and only works in. No. But yeah, so the problem with schools is that they prepare you for a life that is expected to be
Hmm.
tedious and boring. It's because you're given homework.
Yeah.
Homework as a concept itself is so stupid. Homework as a concept is like absolutely stupid, because if you're learning things in school, there should be a better way to practice it than make the fucking child go home after 9 hours and then be like, hey, now you
Yeah.
have to do the same old shit again. And the problem again is
Exactly.
that you're.
Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, sorry to interrupt you, but again, homework as like a concept, I would like, the type of homework I've gotten all my life has been absolute bullshit. But like you said, if there was a way where I could actually practice, like if I could practice something every day or every few days a week where it actually helps me improve, and you call that homework, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But the homework that we got in school in our experience was absolutely bullshit.
Exactly.
Because even in my field, like for animation per se, like every day me practicing drawing, could you consider that homework, or that just be
That just
practice for
practice.
my skill? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So was that the intention of that? Was the intention of why we got homework?
No, but
But
that's the thing.
it was something we weren't interested in at all, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, wait one sec. So
Mm.
control like I say, some discipline is necessary. That is something that people sometimes need. No, discipline is necessary, but giving homework and not letting you eat in class and other abstract bullshit
Mhm.
rules aren't really helping you learn discipline. All they're making you do is
No,
follow
they
a
aren't.
rule of command when you don't really
Mhm.
understand and you just accept. That's basically what
Yeah.
happens. And sit here's the thing. So when you go to school, okay, like you are you are trained to join the workforce at the end of the day. You are trained to sit in a place for 9 hours. You are trained to do a certain task. You are trained to follow certain rules. You are trained to do things the way a superior whatever person of
For
authority
sure, for
says.
sure. Yeah,
and
for sure.
and that bleeds into your work life as well. So you end up wasting most of your day. So imagine, from when you're a child to when you're an adult, you're well into old age, you're going to be following almost the exact same system. You're going to be working in some form or the other for 9 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and then you're going to be coming back home, and then you're going to be doing something related to it again, which is why a lot of companies just make you work longer hours or make you do work when you go back home,
Yeah.
because they're like, yeah,
Hmm.
you know what, it's normal, right? Like, I've heard people even be like, hey, okay, listen, I know you're going home now, but then just do some homework. I'm like, I hate that word now. I'm like, that's the most stupid shit I can think of.
Gives you PTSD.
Yeah.
Wait, like adults go and do homework, huh?
Yeah, they call it homework because
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. It's not, it's just
Mm-hmm.
normalized. I know it sounds ridiculous that I
Mm-hmm.
say that schools are basically a way of controlling you, but it's just normalized so
No,
much
no,
that
it
we
doesn't
don't
sound
really see it
ridiculous.
that way.
Like, you know how I feel about education systems and the whole work culture. So you
Of
know where I
course,
stand.
of
So
course.
we'll get into that later when we talk about, our thoughts. But like, yeah, of course, it's just a more general discussion. Mm.
And Katulanke says, yes, not everything can be fun. In my opinion, people need all the necessary skills to survive in the future. If people are not used to doing boring work, Sudoku rates of younger workforce will be a lot higher. What do you think people
Yeah, but
without leadership skills do? Not everyone can be a leader, so they have to follow orders, at least until they can take care of themselves. Okay, you're way off base here. I'm
well,
just
you're
I'm just going to
you're
say that.
proving Bruce's point, I would say, by
Yeah,
like, like in a way, like
yeah,
you're explaining the influence by
yeah.
being
You're
influenced.
you're literally
Right? Does
just
that make sense?
telling
Mm.
me that this is like very normal to you. It is not. Not
Mm-hmm.
everything can be fun. Really, why would you even think that? Why is that an accepted
Mm-hmm.
form of thinking about anything
Mm-hmm.
in life? Education should be fun as fuck. Learning something should be fun as fuck. Okay, you're
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to be drained by learning. You're supposed to be enriched by
Mm.
learning. And the idea
Yes.
that you can't have fun while doing that is just insane. People can choose not to do homework, and some people don't. And what happens if you don't do homework? You are berated. Some in India, in a lot of places, you are physically hit. You are sent to
And
the
it's
principal's
yeah,
office.
you're sent to the prison principal's office, but prison warden's office. But yeah,
Prison
no,
warden's
the thing is
office.
like a lot of aspects are also bullshit. Like the scoring system. I feel like
Yeah,
grading and exam for me, I believe exams are bullshit. Like I
of
don't believe in
course.
exams. I fucking hate giving exams.
Yeah,
I've always hated, and then like I've stopped giving them now. I don't give
of
them for
course.
anything, even if
And
I
it's
need to.
and it's the
And
same for
mm,
tests
but it's a
when you're applying
bullshit
for work.
that doesn't. Yeah, it's a bullshit. Marking system that doesn't really give anything. Like even if I talk about, like, even as an adult, for example, if you talk about Japanese language exams like the JLPT, right?
Yeah,
Like that doesn't test your level of Japanese. Like I know people who've passed N1 who can't speak Japanese, dude.
of
Like,
course.
so like does that really test your speaking ability?
It
They
does
call
not.
it Noryokushiken, like Japanese speaking ability, but like it doesn't test that. It's just like this paper that the fucking government needs to be like, okay, you know Japanese. Like that's all. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
matter. It
basically
doesn't
it.
test your action. The same
Agreed.
for English, the IELTS and all that. Like IELTS is fucking bullshit. Like they're
Yes.
like, yeah, pay us a shit ton of money and that's it.
It
Like,
definitely is. Yeah.
like and people let like scores, like I never cared about scores or anything or how much I got, but
Clearly,
that
neither
actually
did I.
physically affects people.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
scores affect people a
Of
lot,
course.
like mentally
Yeah.
and their lives. And like people like in school, because like you don't, like when you're in school, like your whole universe is in that school. Like you think like, oh, if I don't get good marks, like my whole life will like implode
Yeah,
before me.
basically.
It feels insane, right?
Yeah. And also, Control Lanka says not all parents can afford to pay a premium. Not all teachers have mental capacity to make things fun in a class of 60 people, some of whom might or might not be interested at all. Okay. Let me tell you again why you're wrong. Okay. Not all parents can afford to pay a premium. Why the fuck are you expected to pay a premium for education in the first place? I don't even think you should be paying for
In a
education.
lot of countries, European countries, it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Education is free.
Yeah, it's
And
fucking
here
free.
also in India, a lot of colleges and stuff, it's like you pay $200 and like,
Yeah,
for your degree.
yeah. Going into debt
Rupees,
because
by
of
the way.
going into debt because of student loans is the stupidest thing ever, because like you shouldn't have to do that just to learn something.
Fucking insane.
You definitely shouldn't. And also, not all teachers have mental capacity to make things fun in a class of 60 people. Firstly, the class number really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I sat in a class of 120 people and there's still one teacher who made things fun as fuck. Everybody would bunk lectures left, right, and center, except for that one teacher, because she made things fun as fuck. And also, even in BMM, we had our film professor, our UC understanding cinema professor, was really passionate about what he did, and he literally infused people with passion for making films or making videos in general. So the other problem is teachers are not fucking appreciated in the world, not only in this country, in the world.
They're not appreciated. They aren't paid enough. They aren't given enough importance. Like even if you tell people you're a teacher, like of course I have a lot of respect for teachers. Like some of the best teachers have really influenced me since I was a kid, and I've gone on to work with them and everything. Had really nice teachers, but they're really important, because if your teacher is really shit, like that really changes you and affects you. And if it's really good, it has the opposite effect.
Yeah,
They should
definitely.
be given more importance. And even the process of becoming a teacher should be given more importance.
Definitely.
Because it's like nowadays, like parents like basically give like the responsibility of like raise
Raising
my
the
kid.
kid.
Like
Yeah.
that's what teachers do. They raise kids nowadays. So
Yeah.
it should be seen as something that's like one of the most important jobs in the world, I would say.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
And if the teachers were given due respect and were given due pay and were actually taken care of, then you bet your ass that they're going to have the mental capacity to do a lot more than whatever you think they can do right now. Also, it may be fun for you, but if for others might be clueless. You are saying things from your point of view. No, just look at the studies that have been done into how learning actually helps you, how learning can be so easy for children when they're presented in a different way.
And and it is, and of course learning is very important. I wouldn't say there's any instance where people won't be interested also like in learning.
Yeah, definitely.
And there are lots of areas in the world that aren't like where kids aren't able to learn or educate themselves, if I use that word. And like if you talk about like a lot of Middle Eastern countries, right, like they like recently, when I say recently I mean a few years ago, they started translating like important books into Arabic for them to read. And imagine the impact like translating a book like 1984 into Arabic had on them. Like that's crazy to think about, right?
Exactly.
Like, so it is important, and a lot of people will be like a lot of kids will, and people who are growing and curious about the world will be very interested in learning, because it'll help get them out of whatever situation they're, whatever country they live in. So it is necessary, and it can be made fun, definitely, I'll say that.
Yeah, and again, it's not
And
only
I'm
from
saying
my
that
point
from
of
both
view.
perspectives, as someone who has learned in school and as someone who teaches people now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I don't see how having someone trying to put things in a lighter way, or in an easier to understand way, or in a fun way, is actually going to leave someone clueless, unless you think
No,
that your
definitely not.
current control 9K specifically, unless you think that the current system is so efficient at teaching people, which it's not, and is
It's
not
not at all.
absolutely fucking boring. Then that's a different conversation. If you think that the way we're doing things right now is a good way, I heavily disagree with that premise entirely.
No.
And also, okay, so here's the other thing: the entire world's education system was basically created by the Britishers, right? It came to India, especially India, because we literally were influenced by the British so much.
Well, our
being ruled.
education system mostly, but it's different, like in a lot of ways. If you talk about the system,
No,
it's
I'm
not
saying like
the entire world system.
the base system
That's
the base system that was formed with the classes, what kind of subjects to teach, what kind of exams to keep, came from the
different
British.
in a lot of places.
Now it's
I
different.
would, yeah,
Like world has evolved
like in a lot of
from
countries,
it.
it's quite.
Yeah,
There are
but
lots that follow the British education system, 100% agreed, but there are lots that are also different.
I still think that's in recent history, not in the past, where Britain was basically ruling the world from that one small little island.
No, I'm saying from the past, like they follow the education systems of like other countries that used to rule them. But I'm not saying they had their own. I'm like, whoever their colonizers were, they're like, okay, we'll take your education, be it French or whatever. But yeah.
So it's not efficient, but you are not thinking of it in a pragmatic way. Really, that's your answer to it. That's your answer to what. There are so many different places that have already adopted. It's a different way of teaching, and they're having insane success. Unless you're saying they're not pragmatic, even though they're literally killing it right now.
No, if he's talking about people who are clueless, like depends on what you're teaching them. Like, because now you have schools with open curriculums where like, I learn what I want to learn.
Exactly.
Which makes things fucking amazing.
That's my other problem.
I won't be clueless. If you teach me also, like, let me give an example of clueless, like from personal experience, right? Math, I've struggled with it all my life. Like as a kid, I thought math was unnecessary. Like I didn't want to learn it, I didn't want to know it. I was like, who gives a shit, right? I don't care about math, right? But when I started learning design, you learn about numbers and how math is important, and how literally humans figure out how the universe works using math, right? I understood that by seeing it through design, because I was learning design and I was really interested in that. So now I understand the importance of math. Now I'm more interested in it as a subject, as a topic. And learning it through that method would have been way more interesting and fun for me than the way they taught us in school, where they were just like, I'm going to write 10,000 numbers and letters on the board and learn it. I'm like, what the fuck? This is so fucking boring. You're not explaining why this is important, why I need it. You're just like, you have to learn this. I'm telling you to learn this, do it.
Exactly.
So it also depends on how you build interest.
Don't asks, yes, but are those places developing or developed? Both. There are places in India that do it, in very poor places.
Yes.
There are places everywhere that do it. It is not some grand, impossible concept that I'm talking about. It's literally just giving people a little more importance and treating people like human beings. That's literally all that is to it. And that is my other problem with exactly what you said. When you have a set curriculum, our entire curriculum was set by these people who had a certain agenda that they needed to fulfill. And that's the reason handwriting was so important in school, because of an outdated system, because the Britishers literally gave Indians education so they could get more people to write stuff.
Yeah.
And they wanted us to be educated in like the basic subjects that would help them write more books or translate books or try to get just basically be paper pushers in an office. That was literally the whole point of the education system. It was literally just that. And it was stupid, because even in Britain, there were a lot of people who were just made to be paper pushers.
Even before that, sorry to interrupt you, but even before that, when we had a Gurukul, that had religious motivations.
Of course.
So it wasn't great before that either, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the influence of religion in institutes in general, because for Christ's sake, every single day you are supposed to sing about different people, different gods. And it didn't matter if you had the same religious beliefs. If you were in a school that held a belief, you just had to do whatever the fuck they said.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's like, okay, we had other stupid rules, like your uniform has to be impeccable, otherwise you will get shouted at. Like, why the fuck does it matter? Like, I understand you need to teach people the importance of clothes and how presenting yourself nicely and all that. I honestly do not agree with that either, because even if I look like a beggar and I still do the job that's needed to be done, it should be enough. But let's say, for the sake of this, that the idea was to make them more presentable people. You're still doing it in a shit way. You never explain the importance of it. You just shout at people to do it right, or they get fucked. And that's the exact same thing that happens in the workplace as well. It doesn't matter what, in most places right now, it doesn't matter if you're actually doing a very good job. If you're late, or if you're not dressed properly, then people are like, what's wrong with you? And it doesn't matter what kind of work you're actually doing. Thankfully, that's changing a lot now in the workplace, at least. But
yeah, it's changing a lot now. Yeah,
but it's
and
still
also, like, the thing is,
frustratingly
every kid,
relevant.
if you talk about kids, and like we had uniforms and everything, every kid wanted to. And like, I understand also the point that people will bring up, where like, yeah, uniforms were there, so like everyone's equal in
Economic
class, no one's
backgrounds,
wearing
yeah.
fancy clothes, and yeah, I understand that. But again, like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how you were treated if your uniform wasn't, like, it wasn't explained to you why you were wearing it.
Exactly, it definitely
And
wasn't.
also, yeah, and also, like, when we were in school, we was like, man, I wish I can go to college so I can wear whatever I want. Like, everyone used to say that, right?
Yeah.
Like, literally everyone said that during school. So that gives you an idea. Like, they didn't tell us why we need to do things. They're just like, do it.
Yeah.
And like, that's one of my biggest problems with the education system, is we are like, ever since you're a kid, like first grade to 10th or 12th grade, you are told what to do. Like, throughout school, you're told what to do. Like, they don't let you figure anything out on your own. They're like, we tell you to do this, so you should do this, and that's all. No questions asked.
Exactly.
Like, there
And
was
it's
no
stupid.
self-exploration and like figuring things out on your own, which is what you actually need in the real world. You need problem-solving skills. You need to be able to figure things out on your own, which is what we are not taught. We are not taught how to think in an abstract way. We're taught to, like, yeah, do this, like, just like a machine, like you said. Oh, in school they told me to do this, so I do this. Even in art class, like, this personal experience, but even in art class, they were like, you will draw rainy day today, you will draw person, umbrella standing in front of bus stop. They used to exactly define what we had to draw, dude. We couldn't even like go wild with our imagination.
Of course.
Like, our
Why
teacher
would they
draws
ever
person,
allow
umbrella,
that?
bus stop. Every student has to draw the same thing. Like, I'm not saying that's the case for everyone. I'm just saying personal experience. But in my experience and other education systems I've heard here in India also, like, you are told what to do. And the first time where I went to design college was where I was like, fuck. Where they were like, yeah, figure this shit out on your own, problem solving, here, do it. Like, I'm like, wow, like, I love this method of learning. And like, I really enjoyed it because I could tackle problems in my own way and come up with solutions and figure out all these interesting things. So that I really enjoyed, that, like, you don't even have to tell me, I would do things on my own. So it also depends on how you're taught and how children are basically given this information. If they're told this information, or if they're like, yo, this is how you do it, we'll guide you along the way, but you figure it out.
Yeah. And also, control and cases, a lot of things are important for soft skills. It's not military level of discipline, but some of it is required. Also, not all schools punish you or check your get-up. It happened in your school. My single school had a mix of it depending on the PT teacher's mood. You're literally validating my points with every comment you write. If the mood of the teacher is what decides if you're not going to get shouted at, how the fuck is that okay? How is that even normal?
These are not universal situations, of course. Like, I know kids in America don't have to wear uniforms and all these things. We're not talking about it in that way, but yes, they have different problems.
Yeah, they have very different problems. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, soft skills. Very interesting that you brought that up. So in my last review at my company, actually, I was told that one of the most impressive things about me were my soft skills. And they were like, they're like, there's a lot of different things that wow.
Kidding.
I will open up my document where I had to make notes for the meeting, and I will show you the notes. But yeah, so soft skills was one of my best points apparently. And you know something, Sid? You know how many of those soft skills I got from school?
Hinga.
I got nothing, exactly. There was literally not one soft skill I learned from school that has actually impacted me and made me a better person in life. Every single soft skill was just me trying to be a better person. That's literally it. I was like, okay, how can I not be a complete asshole of a person? I was like, okay, I'll try this, and that's how it works. I'm not saying you're entirely wrong, but you're expecting an ideal scenario, which automatically makes it not real. It's not an ideal scenario by any. Listen, how far in your head is this normalcy?
Not ideal.
If I say we need to treat teachers and students like humans, and you're like, oh my god, do you really think that's possible? Like, what a retard. That's so stupid. You can't think of it like that.
Yeah, bro, you shouldn't have used that word, but okay.
Oh, sorry. It's just like, but that was basically what people told me all the time. They're like, do you even understand how the method works, how the system works? I'm like, that's the problem. I do understand how the system works.
Mm-hmm.
You think you got nothing, but it had an influence. You are seeing things from your POV.
Well, the same can be said about you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Literally same thing. But that's the thing.
Again,
it just
like
doesn't.
If you've lived your life, if you like the education system, and if you think it's important for your way of living and how you want to, okay, you can live that way.
Brainwashing is real, again, yes.
Like if it works for you, it works for you, right? Who am I to, tell you not to do it?
Countering things with the most obviously bad things, which I'm not talking against. Okay, see, that's the thing. Again, the problem.
And the alternate is happening. Like what we're talking about is not this new concept that no one has ever done. Like there are lots of schools and institutions that have more open and free, curriculums that give importance to teachers and students, and that are very, very successful. Like they're working,
and they teach you the skills the soft skills that you talk about.
Exactly, that you need. Yeah, like this is something that is still happening.
Schools basically teach you fear. It's not a soft skill. They just make you automatically submissive to anyone who's a person of authority, and that is why so many people want to be people of authority.
What are soft skills? So soft skills are like communication, teamwork, like problem solving. Skills that are important to
live life as a human being.
Yeah, live life as a human. Have interactions with people, etc., etc. And soft skills also now in a lot of schools, depends on which board, is an actual subject. Like that's a module, that's a class you can take. So again, things are getting better. Like my mom's school, she teaches soft skills like to a few classes. So again,
also he says, I'm not saying that it's good, things can be better, but not everything will be good, and some existing things are necessary or good to have. And what existing things are necessary or good to have? I would like to very much know about that. And I don't have a single soft skill, and I'm doing way better than Brew. Look at this, Brew. Hey, you have soft skills. I'm sure you do.
Look at this, Brew is back.
Yes, it's finally back. But yeah, again, the problem again is that there are so many different ways to actually tackle it. You could actually be like, hey, as Sid said, we are going to teach you soft skills. Here is what you do. And that is going to be insanely better than a teacher screaming at you for something, literally anything. I had a teacher who, okay, so if I remember correctly, okay, this was very long ago, but there was a cat that we found on the highway, which was hit by a car, had horrible injuries, would later succumb to those injuries. And the cat was in my room and got in my cupboard somehow and sat on my notebooks. And I basically couldn't use one notebook. I didn't finish my homework and I had to go tell my teacher. And I was like borderline crying and explaining to her that, hey, this really traumatizing thing happened and this cat bled all over the book. And she's like, why are you lying to me about this? What's wrong with you? I'm like, dude, what the fuck? What do you think? Like, I got blood from somewhere, spilled it on my notebook. And I was like, hey, I couldn't do my homework because my cat died. Like that doesn't even make sense. It goes to that level of insensitivity when you actually don't give a shit what's going on. And I know you're going to say that's a personal experience, but there's so many people who've been ill-treated by their teachers and so many teachers who've been ill-treated by their principals. Definitely. And so it just keeps going on.
And again, I've never been hit or anything by a teacher, but I have seen it, so I agree with bro. Like,
Lucky
even though it's
bastard.
not my personal experience, it's not from my point of view. I've seen it so many times, so I will say it is very, very normal.
Yeah, it's
And
very,
you,
very
dude,
normal.
you hear stories from your parents where they used to keep canes and hit us with canes.
Yeah,
Of course, now in a lot of schools, like it's illegal. Like you can go to jail if you hit kids. Like even in India, but
thankfully.
it was a thing that happened, and it still happens in a lot of places, I will say, based on things I hear. Hmm.
Okay,
I'm
and
not saying it's completely gone, but also talking about how terrible it is and how like controlling it is. One example that I recently learned about, like, do you know the life of like Korean high schoolers is like so fucking terrible.
listen,
Hmm?
at this point, tell me
have
one part of Korean
no
life
have
which
you
is
heard
not
about the
disgusting underneath, but it's like all fancy on the outside.
part where they're having tteokbokki? Pretty good. But
The
no,
tteokbokki
but
is
like
probably made with like blood money or something from
hmm.
somewhere.
No, so they have these things called the Korean SATs, where they're
Hmm.
forced to learn, where they learn English as a second language, and they have to give these exams. And it's literally the most important exam of their life because it decides where they'll be placed in college. You can understand that, right? And they go to school till like 4 or 5, and then they like every student goes to cram school till like 10 o'clock at night, and
Wow.
that's their life for like a couple of years
Wow.
to study for this. They have 70 they have like 70 or something questions, and they get 1 minute per question, less than 1 minute per question. Okay, and you may think this is normal for Koreans learning English. I'm going to send you an example question. Okay, it's quite normal,
Yeah.
and tell me if you can solve this in 30 seconds, because that's how fast and this is English.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Oh, motherfucker! What did the
Yeah,
what? Listen, I can't
this
even
is
read
English.
this in 30 seconds. This is an entire
Yeah,
freaking
this
page.
this is English. This is what they're supposed to solve, questions like this.
What?
Yeah, the Korean SATs are fucking insane.
Okay, this is just
They're
stupid.
like
This is
childhood is
absolutely
destroyed.
stupid.
Exactly. And like they have their own ways and tricks of solving it, but apparently this is supposed to like help you problem solve and prepare you for the world and everything, which I think is like crazy, dude. The amount of
Yeah,
pressure this puts on
stupid.
students over there.
Absolutely
I
stupid.
came across it recently and it blew my mind, dude.
Okay,
It's
sorry. I'm.
insane.
I
Hmm.
have to address this comment now. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
Control says like the uniform thing or doing things you don't like. Okay, I will address this in specific at the start. Doing things you don't like is very, very different than being forced to do something and not knowing why you're doing it. I do things I don't like all the time, and I know I have to do it. I understand why I have to do it. There is a very big difference in that. Doing things you don't like is a natural part of life. I'm not saying we should
Yeah.
always be comfortable and always
And
only do things
it's
we like.
no. It's and also doing things you don't like is also like when you're a kid, like there are a lot of things I say you should try to see if you like it or not and find what you like. So in that stage, of course, you'll be going through things. You're like, oh, let me see, this seems interesting, and you may be like, oh, it's not really my thing. I don't want to do this. I don't want to learn this subject. And then you can move on to something you find interesting. I
Yeah.
still do that, as an adult. I'm saying, like, I still keep moving from
That's
one
a
thing to
mental
another.
health issue right over there, Sid.
Yeah, but still, I'm not saying like you should. And also, even if you're doing something you like, you'll have moments where you don't like it at all and you don't want to do it.
Yeah, and but understanding why you're doing it and why it's important is the main key over here.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing
Mm-hmm.
is, unless we start living in an idealistic world, which is aeons away, some industries will require discipline. They'll need robot work. Discipline is not being taught to you under the idea of discipline. It's being taught to you under the
Mm-hmm.
idea of control. Nobody's saying that people shouldn't be
Yeah,
disciplined. I believe discipline is very important in life. So
it's
basically,
important,
you
but not in the context that companies push onto you for robot work.
exactly,
But yes, not
exactly,
that
and
discipline.
and also things will need robot work, sure, it will need
Yes.
mindless work, but that doesn't take away from the fact that that person could be really fucking creative in their time off. I could do robot work
Mm.
for a living, but I could do some crazy stuff when I'm
Yeah,
at home.
dude. Exactly. Like there are people who have like really prosperous hobbies, who have like a lot of repetitive jobs, in a way, like
Yeah,
clerks or something, or any positions like bankers and all. They have like really creative hobbies and they like deep dive into it. It's almost like a second career, I would say. Hmm.
yeah, definitely. And
Hmm. Hmm.
also, after that,
And
having
also,
experience in that will be helpful. Otherwise, it'll be unbearable and people will commit Sudoku and country will lose a
and
good chunk of
also,
its workflows. So, wait, hold on, wait, hold on a second. There are a lot
okay,
of
okay.
things to address over here.
No, you
Firstly,
can talk about that
country
point. I
will,
wanted to talk about the repetitive thing again. Like
yeah,
another point towards the like, and every like most things are repetitive. To get good at something, it has to be repetitive. Even if you talk about a job where like you're like at a factory, you're suppose you're sorting things, you're doing it again and again. If you're an artist, you're drawing again and again. You're doing this like if you're a NBA player, you're practicing hoops like 300 times a day. Like you're doing the same thing again and again and again. So repetition is not something that tells you the quality of any work you're doing.
yeah,
That's
agree.
what I would say. But yeah, continue.
Also, yeah, country will lose a good chunk of its workforce. Worst take I've seen in a long time from you. Also, the second thing, it'll be unbearable and people will commit Sudoku. Do you know how many kids kill themselves in because of unbearable school pressure around the world? Do you know the statistic on how many people just can't
Yeah,
take the education system? How many people are bullied because people just don't give a shit? Or how many people are even hit by the teachers and scolded by the teachers so much that they end up killing themselves? Because if your
pressure
answer to
from
everything is that
parents
people
and
will kill
whatnot.
themselves, you should be looking at the reality of the situation right now. Because I myself have gone through very scary suicidal thoughts while going through school. I know everybody in my class has had a dark thought because of the way we were raised in school. And this is a universal experience. It is not a country experience. It's not an Indian experience. It's not a British experience. It's a universal experience. Schools are losing children like crazy because they are
Yeah.
imagine how screwed up you have to be if you make a child think jumping off this building would be a great way to reduce this pain in my life. That is
Exactly.
absurd.
And yeah, I agree that it happens everywhere. And also, Kanranaki, coming from a different point of view where I didn't have those thoughts in school and I had a decent time at school. So my experience wasn't as bad, but that still happens a lot. It does make you feel that way. I've seen that and heard that. And yes. So that is definitely something that's quite normal because of the pressure you get from your family, the shitty grading system where you're supposed to be on top. You're literally judged even like based on where you are, based on how you score by every teacher. Like teachers treat you based on if you're a scholar, like most shitty teachers we had, right? They used to treat you differently based on if you're like a genius or if you're like the worst kid in class, right?
Of course,
Like there used to
definitely.
be this kid, right? He's a really good friend of mine. He just like he wasn't interested in studying, which is like totally okay. He didn't want to do it. And every physics class the teacher wouldn't even give him a chance. She used to be like, Bob, get out of the class before I start teaching. I don't want you in the class. Every single time before the class started, he used to be outside. Like he didn't even get a fucking chance to sit and learn and try. Like you're just like, just fuck off because you were talking.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck. But yeah, so of course that really affects a kid when they're growing up.
Okay, now there are a lot more comments, but I'm going to go through them really quickly. And
Yeah, go through
will
them.
you not write something if you don't know what it will be used for? Even if the company pays you a good amount, of course, I'm not going to write something if I don't know what it's going to be used for. The literal first thing you do when you write something is ask what it's going to be used for. Otherwise, you can't write. You're
Yes.
not writing properly. And that's the same for every profession. If you don't know what you're going to be using it for, you are not going to be doing a good job in the first place because you don't understand what it's about. So if it's, I need to know where is it going, who's going to be seeing it, who's going to be, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to sell something? Are we trying to push an idea? What are we trying to do?
Yeah.
That has to be there. That's the first thing you have to ask. And definitely, I'm not going to write something without having an end goal in mind. That's literally how you work. And even if the company pays you good money, yeah. So even if they pay me $1 million and they just
And
like
again,
write like random shit, I would write the random shit for the money. But then, am I really achieving anything
yeah,
with it?
no, and a lot of people do it for different reasons. Like again, like I wouldn't say anyone who works for any company that they think are shady and know are shady, they might be doing it for other reasons. They may be like, yeah, I need to fucking live this week, otherwise I'll die and starve if I don't. Even if like someone may be like, yo, I fucking hate Amazon, but I gotta do these like deliveries or my kids will starve and die. So even that's understandable. But that's a different perspective. They still have that understanding that they maybe don't want to do it, but they're doing it for different reasons.
Yeah, but I don't even
Continue.
understand your. Okay, now he said now if you have to pay rent, next payday, will you live on the street? That perspective of someone with privilege. Do you realize that I do pay rent and I have to figure out all this shit in my life every day? What do you mean it's the perspective of someone privileged? I'm literally living paycheck to paycheck every month. You think I can afford this house alone? I can't.
Yeah, he lives with like 4 other people.
Yeah.
You should also share your room. You don't even have your own room.
Own room, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that I wouldn't take free money if somebody gave it to me. I'm just saying that if you're working for a company, you need to know what you're writing for. Your argument at the start is flawed. That's my only point. And also that is not the same as schools not explaining things to you, because you don't have to pay rent when you're in school. At least most people don't.
And also, I'll also say, like, yeah, of course, we do have some amount of privilege. There are people in way worse scenarios than we are. Like, that's obvious. We shouldn't have to say that.
Yeah.
But again, like, you should think about the impact your work has. Like, to take an example of something that is like quite infamous, we're known for, is like scamming people and call centers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even though you need money, I think that kind of work is terrible. Like, no matter what situation you are in, if you choose to do that kind of work, like, there's something wrong with your ethics and your upbringing and, the way you think about people. Because they're like, yeah, I need money, so I'm going to scam other people to get. I think that's a terrible way of doing it. And that doing that kind of work is not justified no matter what situation you're in. Because you can get other jobs. Like, there are people who are in the same state who do get other jobs, to justify that, that are more ethical, I would say, than scamming other people out of their money.
So you have to. Some people don't have a choice. Where do I have a choice? If I don't pay rent, I am out on the street. Do you realize I live the same way that other people do? Or do you think like I own this house or something? If I don't pay rent, I will get kicked out. I guarantee you that. So even I have to do what I have to do. It's just that if you look at it that way, like, I mean, I don't even understand this point, because like, why does a company making you do something without explaining it to you have relation to a school doing something without explaining it to you? There's a very big difference in that. But even addressing the company point, if my boss comes to me and says, okay, I want you to write something, and then walks away, I'm not just going to write something. I'm going to go after the guy and be like, hey, what do I need to write? Where am I going to be putting this up? Like, am I going to be writing a blog post? Am I going to be writing a press release? Am I going to be writing a campaign? Am I going to be writing a social media post? I need to know something. I'm just saying, it's just not possible to work in a creative field without having an idea of the end goal. Otherwise, you'll just be working in the dark. It's stupid. And also,
like, before writing, we are supposed to research and see, even if what we write, how it will impact people around the world, negatively, or because we shouldn't write anything that you're like, oh shit, you shouldn't say that. But yes, Forrest Dan wants to know, or Some wants to know where your figurines came from.
Wait, he had a few more comments which we ignored. People who are exceptionally good at something that doesn't fall inside the traditional school curriculum are also usually successful. People who aren't good at anything through school usually get schooled. Yeah. And also, bro, stop adding stuff about I myself. Why not? Like, I literally went through shit. I've been passionate about this subject for a very, very long time. You can ask Sid. From the day I met him, I've been talking about the education system. And one of my goals was actually to change the education system in India. I've had this discussion with almost every single person I know about the ideas I have and how I can do it. I even wrote out like this giant ass book. One of those thick books. I wrote out like this entire thing. What? You son of a bitch. Did you forget every conversation we had about this?
No, but I know what you think about the education, because we have talked about it like generally, but like this manifesto I haven't heard of. This is news to
the manifesto. You should see it. I don't have access to it because I threw it away somewhere. But I never completed it, but it was like the beginning of a manifesto.
I see. But anyways, continue.
Also, some also says that it's not about the school, it's about the school environment. Other children are a bigger factor in the school itself, at least in the modern days. So now you don't even get judged on grades as much as those other factors make you go through. And that thing with Sid's friend sucks, but it's largely not the case now. Yeah, bullying is a big problem. I completely agree with that. And the problem with bullying is that it really depends on who the bully is. A lot of teachers do not know how to handle bullying, and a lot of teachers honestly don't give a shit about bullying, which is a problem on its own. But I'm literally just talking about the pressure put on you by the institutions that you go to which
Yeah.
make people want to kill themselves.
Like it used to be a thing that used to, even like you talk about, oh, you'll go to college, you'll get ragged and whatnot, ragging and all. I was like,
Yeah.
it's like, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, it's insane how much it was a thing. Thankfully, like, I never experienced it in college. Like, also, like, it became, once we went to college, like, people were actively, lobbying against that. They were like, no more ragging and all that, which is like bullying in college, I guess they call it ragging. But that stopped, and that's great that that stopped, because you used to hear some terrible stories. Like, people used to legit die from stuff like that.
Yeah. And again, it's a universal thing.
It's basically like Indian version of like getting into frat houses where they're like, hey, do these couple of things right now, otherwise we won't let you, have a good life in college. Like, dance for me, sing for me, strip for me, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, it was terrible.
So you literally said that. Are you speaking without thinking about? I know. I literally did say. I said that. Okay. I believe you're
Hmm.
reading things out of order and misinterpreting things in context. Not out of order at a different time after a different topic. I you will okay. Now we caught up to the comments, so that's your choice over there. But I'm just saying. Some also says I agree with control, but that's only because there's a different system to what we have now would never work out, at least globally. Of course, it would. 100% it would. There is literally there's changes happening. It's just that most people aren't aware of
Yeah, it's
what different
happening.
systems
Yeah,
are
most
there.
people aren't, because people, yeah, of course, like, because people talk about they talk about education systems based on like the school they went to, or anyone they know who's going to a certain school. But like, and maybe we are also talking in that case, but like, my mother is in like the education industry,
Same.
and a lot of friends I know, and I myself to an extent teach, and I'm in the education industry. So I'm quite aware of what's going on even here and around the world to an extent. I'm not saying I know a lot, not an expert by any means, but I'm aware of what's going on. So
Yeah.
these things are happening, things are changing towards the good, because people have realized the problems with systems like this that
Yeah.
existed in the past. But of course, to a lot of people, they're normal. I have a lot of friends who think that, like, the time they had in school and the education system was the best they ever got, and I think the opposite. But they'll argue to death. They'll be like, no, no way, dude. I like graduated, I got good grades, I went to a good university, got a great job, earning a ton of money right now. Like, they're going to disagree, because for them they had a great life, and yeah, that's great. I'm not going to disagree with them. But like, seeing the system as it is, and how it brings out kids, whether you're successful in the traditional like way that society wants you to be, is get a job, blah blah blah, or in your own way, or you want, or maybe you don't want that road and you want to do something else and it doesn't work out for you, so we're not speaking based on experiences, we're speaking based on how it could be done. Hmm.
These kind of
Was that
education
confusing,
systems
or
would
did that make
achieve
sense?
it made
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
These kind of
Okay.
education systems would achieve the following: one, a lot of the Western students today would completely lose interest in school, and school would fail to accomplish anything with a much larger percentage of students. Do you honestly
What do
think
you
that the
mean
current
Western
system has
students?
no, forget that. Do you think the current system makes people have interest in learning? Because I think it actively turns people away from learning as
Hmm.
much as possible. And
Hmm.
again, what other education system are you thinking of? It'll be healthy for a few,
Yeah,
but
like, what
detrimental
west of
overall,
here?
because it seems like discipline to work is a huge problem now. Wonder what would
Hmm.
happen after that. Okay, again, I would like to know why you think discipline to work is a huge problem. What is this?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's actually more common than you realize. Hmm.
I don't mean interest. I mean forcing them into it. Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm not saying that if a kid says, you know what, I'm going to drop out of school at second grade and I'm going to become a musician, you should just be like, yeah, go bro, go
Hmm.
for it.
Hmm.
That's not what I'm
Hmm.
saying. I'm just saying there are alternate
Hmm.
systems that are already in place that are gaining a lot of popularity.
Yeah, and there are alternate systems that use all forms of, like, learning is not only one way, where it's like, I tell you this, you read this like heavy textbook of
Yeah,
like words, and you understand it. Like, there are ways to learn, like, there can be practice, like, and I think all the ways are important based on how much you want to know about a topic,
yeah,
like, there are practical ways of learning, where you're using your hands, like, you're creating things and learning along the way, like that. There are like audio visual learning that people use. Like, you shouldn't only use that, but that's a good way to get introduced to a subject, I would say. And like,
yeah,
if you really want to dive deep, then you can like hit the books and like read everything in detail. But I would
yeah.
say everything is important based on the level. you want to learn.
Based on my personal experience, placed my school into a system like that, and 90% of them would have never learned anything past second grade. I'm not really sure that that would audio visual learning etc. is fake. What does that even
Yeah,
mean?
that's what
What does that
I'm,
mean? What does
it's
that
not fake.
mean?
Yeah.
It's fake.
like you learning something, like suppose for example you're interested in coffee, you learning how to make an espresso, watching a video is audio visual learning. But if you want to deep dive into it, book is also important because then you can read about the specifics.
Not an audio learner, visual learner in particular. No, it's a form. It's just a method
Yeah,
of
that's not,
teaching.
it's one
It's
of the
not the
methods.
only
Yeah,
way to do things.
yeah,
There should never
exactly.
be one way you teach in a
Hmm.
school, and unfortunately,
You got to
that's
use
the way
all
we.
the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
And again, so okay, let me give you an example of
Hmm.
two places I know. What is this one called? I think this is the name. Montessori education is one I know, which
Like
which it's a system of education.
Montessori in general, like the Montessori system. Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Hmm.
so that helps children develop
Yeah.
interests, and
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
do that. They encourage children to
Hmm.
figure out what they're interested in, and they try to develop that interest more. They use a lot of, as
Yeah.
Sid said, practical ways of doing things and explaining things
Hmm.
properly. And it's
Hmm.
not just like, hey,
Hmm.
okay, I want you to do this right now. It's like the teachers actually sit with the children and they do
Hmm.
multiple things. And Montessori is there everywhere. It's global. It's global.
It's everywhere.
It's
It's
there in India
global.
as well.
And like also I would say like since I hear a lot from my mother because
Yeah,
she teaches like what they call here is international board or like Cambridge board or whatever.
yeah.
But I find their system quite interesting because like she teaches English and she can literally choose like what she was teaching, she was using like the 300 graphic novel and teaching that as like
Oh,
literary work, which I think is fucking
yeah,
amazing.
that's
Like
amazing.
where teachers can choose what books they want to teach their students, you know. She was
Yeah.
teaching Kafka on the shore, like Murakami's Kafka on the shore. Like that's fucking insane. If you talk about like the concept of Oedipus and his story and all with Kafka on the shore to like children, like
Hmm.
most schools will be like, yo, what the fuck? You can't talk about shit like that. But like it's like, you know, it's changing. Like these things are quite open. Like imagine if the school gave every student the graphic novel. How
Wow.
fucking cool is that? I would have loved to like have that
Yeah.
book and study that. I'd look forward to my classes, you know.
Hmm. And also in the Montessori system,
Mm.
there is literally a section for sensory behavior, sensory refinement.
Mm.
Wait, sensory refinement. And
Mm.
there's also a section for social behavior, understanding how
Mm.
to
Yeah.
navigate social situations, and how to develop that, so that they develop their empathy, develop their
Mm.
social skills, develop basically
Mhm.
everything. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a very good way of doing things. You can, like,
Yeah,
they even
definitely.
adapt to technology and keep including technology in the way they teach, so that children are
Mhm.
more used to using technology in a
Mhm.
meaningful way than just
Mm.
using it as a distraction from what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: these before you say this is privilege and all that shit again, it's there in US, it's there in UK, it's there in Russia, it's there in Nigeria, it's there in India, it's there everywhere. It's literally everywhere. You're not
Everywhere.
This is not some privileged person sitting
Yeah.
there and being like, oh, dear sir, I would like to buy
And it's,
a
yeah,
MacBook
it's
for
not
this.
only this it's not only this fancy private form of education, like a lot of municipal
Yeah,
government schools, you know, free, that provide free education, use these methods.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's really, really cool what you can do when you
Hmm.
actually give a shit.
Hmm.
Also, one sec,
Yeah.
few of these things. By the way, all the education system in place, do they go up to high school, or are they lenient on children, or as they are teens or even college students? I want Koro Sensei to teach me. Koro Sensei gives me hope and education as they
100%.
lenient. Listen, Koro Sensei is an amazing freaking teacher. Okay, like
Yeah.
imagine if you're okay, not the alien part where you have to kill him, but imagine if you had a teacher like
Mhm.
Koro Sensei who actually cared
Mhm.
about every student. That was literally the whole point of the freaking book at the end of the
Mhm.
manga at the end of the day. Like
Mhm.
Koro Sensei literally started teaching because his love of his life was a teacher, and she genuinely wanted to
Mhm.
change children's lives. She
Mhm.
genuinely wanted them to. She wanted to teach them beyond just what was there in the book. She wanted to teach them about
Mhm.
life, and Koro Sensei did exactly that. So that works. And I was reading Control's messages from before I tuned in. I agree with his arguments. One sec. So the education systems right now, they go up to different places depending on who's teaching them, depending on what school is adapting to
And
them,
I
and so
would
on.
say, yeah. And also I would say it's up to it's up to, like, you could say it's up to the parents, because like a lot of parents, like traditional parents in India,
Yeah,
would be like, yo, if this school recognized by this degree, like I don't want to
yeah,
send my kid to like this open curriculum or whatever school, because when they graduate, which university will accept them, blah blah blah.
yeah,
But again, like, that is there, we're not saying it doesn't exist, but there are lots of like young parents and like younger couples and stuff who are older than us or like our age, who are putting their kids into more progressive schools and education
yeah,
programs like this. So it is still happening, it is changing.
definitely.
We're
I'd
not saying
really
it's
love
it's
the fuck out
it's
of that.
not impossible. Yeah. And also, like, even if you see places like Teach for India over here, that invite, like, that anyone from any field can volunteer, and you can go teach them any skill
Yeah,
you want, anything you want, and you can teach them how to dance, how to sing, how to paint. And that's freaking amazing, like, that's an open system.
yeah, that's a really open system. And I
So,
know a lot
and
of people who have
Teach
gone
for
for
India
like these
yeah,
programs.
me too. It's very popular. It's something
Yeah.
that's encouraged, right? So yeah, again, it's more common than you know.
So, okay,
Mm,
his arguments were not really anything related to what you're saying. Regulation is impossible. I'm not saying anything has to be
mm,
regulated. I'm not saying there should be a government
mm,
body. I'm not saying there should be a body that is regulating anything like this. But there are standards that have to be held. Regulation is a very common part of every school system in the world right now. If you're looking at CBSE, ICSE, uh,
mm.
what is that HSC, whatever the fuck, and IB. There
HSC,
there is a
state
board.
board. Yeah,
There is a
yeah,
board
yeah.
that's why there's a board. There's a board that holds them to these standards, and then there
Mm,
even the schools are and colleges are given ratings based on different things that they
mhm,
give to the students. I'm not saying that there should be someone who will hold. I'm not saying it's possible for a body to make sure that every
mhm,
single school is giving the best education and nothing bad is happening. I'm
mhm,
not being naive. I'm just saying this: if the system changes, if more
mhm.
people who are interested, firstly teachers need to be given the motivation to actually start teaching more and taking that
Yeah, yeah,
extra
yeah.
effort for students, because right now they're
Mhm.
not. And the second thing is, if that happens, then the second thing automatically happens, which is the teachers care more for the children, care more to develop their skills based beyond just what's in the books, and that automatically helps them get better as well.
And yeah, and he's also talking about like how Dan is saying how you maybe Control 9K was talking about how high schoolers have no passions or goals that they're pursuing at that stage. It's not like we had like passions or goals about what we wanted to do when we were high schoolers either. I'm not saying you need to exactly decide what you want in school and like pursue that, but it can be an open playground where you can try different things and figure out what you like you should have options, like that's what I'm saying. Like, and there are things that should be introduced, like that weren't also, like, how, like, we, like, I would love to have had a subject about like financial knowledge of any kind, where
Yeah,
they teach you about how to manage your finances in the world as an adult, or like the process of buying, like if you have to like renting, buying, all these things, because
yeah.
these are things no one tells you, and you got to figure out, like, these things are more
you
important.
know the,
And
the
like,
most common argument to that said, I've read it in
hmm,
so many places, is that, oh, you were barely paying attention in school anyway. Were you really going to learn about taxes? Like, dude, maybe if you actually made it,
yeah,
explain the
maybe
importance
actually.
of it, and actually tried and actually
Dude,
explained why it was important, we would have fucking paid
yeah,
attention. Yeah.
you teach us, so okay, in they teach
Hold
us
on,
how
hold
to
on. Oh, sorry,
vote
sorry.
and
Just a
like,
sec, just a sec. Uh, okay, so students having an option today, okay, but it's a one-time thing. If you make a wrong choice, then because you wanted to do dance and it was made easy for you to pursue dance, and you realize it was stupid, then you're screwed. But it's not like a child is going to take the decision and just have the decision control their entire life.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
parents. They have other people in their lives to guide them. The
no,
teachers are there to guide
and
them. It's not like if a child
and
makes a decision, you just let them go with the decision. It's about giving
and
the
I've heard
option to
this.
learn more.
Yeah, it's about giving the option. And I've, like, of course, not everyone is in this situation, but I've heard this from a lot of people that I was really interested in this as a kid, but it didn't work out. I had to get a job, like people, like, I wanted to draw, and I was really good at drawing, but then it's too late now. I'm already doing this job as this particular thing, and I can't
Yeah.
go back, it doesn't make sense. And the thing is you can.
You
It's not
definitely can.
easy, but you can always, you don't, the thing is like, you don't need to keep doing one thing throughout your life. Like you
100%.
can always change. You can
Yeah.
always change your career and your path. Like just because you start, also just because you studied something doesn't mean you have to work in that field. Like
Yeah.
like this is like an imaginary rule per se that like you may have in your head, but like you can literally, like, so many people change their careers. Like, you know, you hear stories about, like, I myself met this guy like when I was traveling up in Sikkim, you know, like he was working in
True that.
accounting for however many years, and he got tired of that shit and he opened his own bar in Sikkim, which is like, because he wanted to, you know, make bars and mix drinks and stuff. He was
Just keep it
interested in
this way.
that, and he did it at the age of 40. So
Wow.
like it is possible, and there are like thousands of examples of that where people, you know, just change you know, careers because they don't want to do what they do, and it is possible.
And also, okay, so parents don't guide Lama is a very bad statement to make, because I guarantee you, if my parents, as much as I hated them for it at the time, if my
Mhm.
parents didn't stop me from making dumbass decisions, my life would have been ruined. Okay, I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be an author, I wanted to be a gamer, I
Yeah.
wanted to be everything under the sun. And my parents were like, okay, listen, we will let you do whatever you want in life, but god damn it, you just get through this part first, and once you're more mature, you make the decision. But we know that this is not a good decision right now. So that sort of stuff is important. And there's a huge difference between drawing as a kid and drawing good, or people who go on and on about their creativity, skill, and passion turn out to have such basic ability in whatever they're so interested in. This is just me ranting, by the way. Yeah, feel free to rant, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if they do have a basic ability, does that mean that they shouldn't be allowed to do it? Or maybe that basic ability is not going to be basic if it's actually nurtured from a young age. Like I haven't
Yeah.
all every manga artist you know has been drawing since they were like 5. Okay, and it's insane. Like it's actually insane. Imagine if people were just like, get fucked. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how pretty you think your drawings are. You little 5-year-old, just stop it. You're not going to become an
No.
artist. Give up.
Yeah. And also, like, a lot of people who are, you would call prodigies, who are really good at drawing and are really talented in it, if they don't, like, if it's not nurtured and, you know, if it's not developed, like, that can get lost too, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you may be good at drawing, but if you don't use it enough and develop it properly, like, the world may not know about you. So again, and like, I would, like, of course that gives you like a little bit of head start, but there's all, like, again, like, if you see Kim Jong-gi, that guy used to draw since he was a kid,
Yeah.
and now he's one of the best artists in the world. Like, so yeah,
I mean,
there are
what's
lots
that?
of ways to.
What's that saying?
Hmm.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I think is the
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and again, like, even these guys, like, if even if you talk about, I was watching this video, Katsuya Terada, another amazing artist. He was saying he still feels that he's like one of the best artists, and he still feels that he's not good enough. Like, he still has that feeling, you know.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that
You can
that
always get better.
like, something like that is also necessary to keep you growing. But yeah, again.
Also, I just
Hmm.
laughed because he said they're allowed to, but I cringe at how they think they're special and then complain about the so-called system. And then he immediately follows it up with your guys' argument. I'm fine, but I'm ranting about something else entirely. Dude, we also think we're special. Don't worry about it. But here's the thing: I honestly don't think that it's wrong for anyone to think that they're special, because every human being is
Yeah.
special in one way. They're unique. Nobody is going to be like the other person, and the experiences you have are going to be completely different
Mm.
from everybody else's, which means that you have something special to offer. It just depends
Yeah.
on how much you're ready to work towards it and what
How much you need
method
to
you
work
choose.
towards it. Yeah, and you're open to try anything, pursue anything, but also you should be aware of if it's working for you and if you can really, you know, do something in that field. Because again, it makes, like, you can do things you like, but you should understand how you're tackling it. Like, that's
Yeah,
what I'll say also. Because
yeah,
if
like
something's not working out for you, it doesn't make sense to, you know, keep doing it.
yeah, like I mean, there's a
Again,
reason
I'm
we
not
don't quit
saying.
our jobs and just do the podcast full time, right? We just want to put out
Yeah,
some
yeah.
thoughts, and we do that
Mm.
as a hobby. And this is
Yeah.
not, I honestly don't think a podcast is the way that either of us want to achieve our goals or achieve our higher whatever
No, it's not.
ideas that we want to put out to the world. I want everyone to believe that they're not
No.
special because they aren't. Yeah, let's go. That's nice. No, but that's the thing.
No,
It really depends on how if you look at it from a doomer perspective, like Control 9K said, then nobody's special. Okay, everyone's made of the same shit. Everyone is going to be dust and bones one day. Everyone's going to be returned to the world and just die. But if you look a little deeper and actually go into the human psyche, everyone
there
is
is hope.
different. And then
Yes.
I legit I've said this to everyone I know as well. I truly believe that every human being is capable of doing amazing things. It's just that most people lose that spark of theirs at a very young age, and then it's never actually developed in their adult life. And I'm not saying I'm immune to that. I've lost my spark multiple times, and I keep trying every day. I have to try to do something creative. I have to keep consciously try to keep doing something. Otherwise, it will die. It is just the way it is. And I know people who struggle every day to make sure like they want to do something really badly, and they struggle every day to make sure that they can do it.
Same. Even I know people like that from personal experience. Like my brother, for example, right? He works his day job in retail that he doesn't give a shit about. Like he couldn't care less, right? But he puts hours in that, comes back at night, and then sits and writes his book.
Yeah,
because that's what he wants to do. That's not giving him money yet. He doesn't chill or like anything. He's just like, yo, I want to write my book. I'll do my work and like whatever retail job I have to get money, and I'm gonna come back and write my book. And he does that like every fucking day. And I find that like insane, like the amount of discipline he has because he wants to do that. So yeah, there are people who pursue and keep doing what they're doing, and you'll definitely kill it and be successful in it as long as you're improving. Like if you're doing something and you're stagnant in it, like
that's a bad sign.
I'd be like, that's a bad sign, because at that, and also there's like this thin line between in a lot of cases between like being addicted to something and doing something to improve, because like let me talk about like the esports gaming industry as an example. That's why I said this. So a lot of people want to become gamers, go into esports, which is fucking amazing, like because
I feel like this is directed towards a certain someone sitting next to you right now.
No, there's no one next to me. And again, like go for it, give it your all, but like, are you really playing like just to pass time, or are you playing to improve and get good and like participate in a tournament and win? Like, what's your purpose? So there's a case in which it could be like, okay, you should know when, okay, I'm just playing and like not really doing anything, playing for fun, which is totally okay. I do that too all the time. Or are you playing to because you want it bad, because you really want to win, so it's important to realize what your goals
I have a point I want to add on to that actually, but just one sec. I'm just going to read this comment. The majority who think they are smart aren't, and the part of the majority that boast about it, low-key, humble grind, set rice and grind baby are the worst.
Yeah, people who think they're smart are like anyone who ever says like, yo, I'm really smart, I would say it's quite fucking dumb.
I just say I'm dumb as shit, and I am fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum of you. Zero creativity, 100% robot. I refuse to believe that at all. Like no way. Listen, human beings have to be creative in some form or the other. The exact way you're being creative is going to be different for everyone, but
yes,
even if you're doing a robot's job, you're going to be creative in some way or the other.
And I would say, like, I don't really like the way the word creative is used in, like, even in my world and in any sense, because when you say creative, people usually imply like this guy has like this crazy imagination or like prodigy level skill of coming up with shit. And creativity can be something really small where you just think of an alternate way to do something which works for you. Like, it doesn't have to be like this crazy artistic revelation.
Dude, screw that. Creativity can be you doing the same job that you hate, but then you think of a random pun in the middle of it and laugh. That's creativity for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't think of jokes to get through the day. What?
Yeah, even you saying, look at this brew, like, that I would say that you use some creativity to come up with that. So yeah, it can be anything small.
But okay, wait. Stop laughing. I get insecure. I play to kill time. There's a part of me that wants to win really bad. I'm using creativity to refer to creation, anything that involves creation and is outside of your responsibility. But again, creation, if you're literally thinking of stuff, that is also be creating something.
You're creating, exactly.
That is creativity. You don't have to actually, sit with a hammer and chisel and make the next great statue or something. You can just literally do it in any small way that you want.
So you can. Sorry, I saw a joint.
Yeah.
But you had a point in regards to that, Bru. Can you bring it up?
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. So when it comes to esports, and this also applies to a lot of other things like musicians, all the
Yeah,
careers that
a
people
lot.
really want to
Musicians,
do, and
where
really
there's
think it's
like a
like very
small
fun.
1% who are like on the top, I
No,
would
no,
say,
not
in
only
that.
yeah, basically anything. But I'm not talking only about the people who want to be like the 1%. I'm talking about people who want to do these
Okay.
creative things. I
Yeah.
learned this very, very late. Okay, I was absolutely stupid with it because I thought that as long as you just do that one thing, you are set for life.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hmm.
it then when I grew up and started looking into the people and their lives a little bit more, if you look at even the
Mm-hmm.
people who like The Lonely Island, people who make like the dumbest jokes you can think of, all these
Yeah, yeah.
people are really freaking smart. They are insanely
Mm-hmm.
smart. And they're not
Yeah.
famous because they write dumb jokes. They're famous because they know how to put out complex thoughts in very simple ways that will please an
Mm.
audience. And even for
Exactly.
musicians, like freaking, they're so well educated in this institutional term, and they're so well read, they're so smart, they're actually so much that people do outside of their
Mm.
music and people don't realize it because they don't, I mean, that's not the part that's publicized about them. And the same for esports as well, like for example, Dota releases True Sight, which is a look,
Oh, I
behind
saw
the
that,
scenes
by the
look.
way. That was really
Yeah.
fun. I enjoyed it. I saw it yesterday.
Yeah. So they release a behind the scenes look of the finals
Mm-hmm.
of the tournament, and if you see any of these things, right, you,
Mm-hmm.
you will realize that you are playing a different freaking game than these guys. you are
Yeah.
you are
Mm.
playing like you're playing like normal chess, and they're already planning for the next freaking game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm.
it's insane because even at the highest level, they're like, okay, maybe we should do this, and the enemy team at the exact same time is like, yeah, they're gonna do this. Get
Yeah.
ready. They're gonna come right down this path, and they're like, okay, we'll go right down this path. It's like a freaking mirror.
Mm-hmm.
They're really freaking smart. They're not people who just started playing a game and then were like, oh my god, yeah, look, I'm good at it. So
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like there's a lot that goes into it, like a lot of thinking and it's like on another level. Yeah, like it's totally different ball game. But yeah, again, that's in regards to most of these careers and skills,
exciting
where
jobs.
it's like, yeah, where it's like you gotta give like you gotta work like crazy hard, like to even get to that level.
Yeah,
Even if you talk about skateboarding, like if you talk about like competitive skateboarding, like the skill is insane.
yeah,
Like for you, like us just normally riding a skateboard down the street is like fucking nothing. Like even if you think of the normal flips they do, right, then the position they have to be at and how they have to flip it and where they have to place the heel, like the intricacies of that is like insane. Like most people don't even realize how crazy it is to
yeah,
even like, because it's like, oh, a small flip in a few seconds, like, but if you actually go into it, like you lose your mind
yeah. That's true.
realizing how difficult it is.
And
Yeah,
in particular, because
and
Mickey
that's the
joined
case
the
for
chat as
anything.
well.
Hmm.
In particular, another thing which I've told Mickey also is that, listen, esports players have a notoriously short careers. Like, you are going to
Hmm.
burn out, or you're going to be knocked
Yeah.
out, or you're just going to be too old. And what are you going to do with life after that? I'm not saying you have to, like, maybe, oh, maybe you will get a million. Okay, let's be real. A
Hmm.
million is nothing in esports nowadays. Maybe you are going to get like $10 million, but what are you
When
going
you
to do with
get into
life?
like either the casting or the coaching or that part, probably like if
Yeah.
you're good and
Yeah,
on
but
that
but
side,
every
maybe.
single every single pro player has a
Mm.
has a huge life outside of Dota as well. I mean, I know
Oh,
it's
yeah,
it's like a
huge. Yeah.
meme to say, like, oh, these guys only know this one game, but these guys
Mm.
are also really freaking smart. They are
Oh, for
educated
sure.
again
Mm.
through institutions. They have, like, for example, Jerax, who won TI twice, wanted to go out and do marketing and something. He was basically trying to figure out his next steps, and he was like, there are a lot of
It's
career
pretty cool.
opportunities I would like to look at. And like,
Yeah.
this guy doesn't need to work another day in his life. So I like how we
But
moved away from education to
just
work
talking about
now.
no, but yeah, but no, these things aren't, no, again, like even getting it back to education, like if I talk about conventional jobs, like what society considers conventional, I'm not saying in any one sense of the
Yeah,
word, but like suppose I want to become like go into accountant or work in sales or marketing, there are courses I can join, like in educational institutions which will give me a marketing degree or like train me to be an accountant or anything like that, where I learn about it to an extent where most people who work in that field know about it and then gain like practical experience while working in the field in regards to that topic. But for such cases like music and like esports for example, it exists now. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's rare. It's like, and like
Yeah.
if you talk about when people say recognized or whatever bullshit they use that word, I'm like, you won't find places like that where you can go and learn and be at the same level, like have the basic
Yeah.
skills to then have practical experience. You have a
No,
lot of universities in Europe with like esports courses now. I'm not, and you can learn online, and even music you can learn production online from other artists. It's more open now, but like it's still, I would say, different from getting the traditional education
yeah.
that
No, but
we
Sid,
used to get in schools.
there is one, when you come to the creative field, there is one big
Mm,
problem, which is, and I
mm.
keep telling this to my boss and he never freaking listens. I hate it, especially with SEO. But literally anyone who tells you that they can guarantee specific results with marketing or
Oh no,
SEO
no, no,
is
no, no.
talking out of their ass. I know so many people who've taken like Google's course on SEO and they're like, oh my god, I know everything about SEO, bro. And then the Google puts out an update 2 months later, they don't even realize it, and all their information is outdated.
No,
So
but again, it's not about teaching you to get results. It's about teaching you like developing a foundation.
yeah, of course.
So if
Yeah, I'm just saying,
like
like, I don't like
Mhm.
the courses that claim to give you, like, become an SEO expert in 2 weeks. Like, bro,
Yeah,
you're not
those
going
are
to do that.
scams. Those are
Yeah.
scams. No, those are fucking scams. Yeah, no, don't fall for that shit. Any
And
like
like,
even like if you want to learn what.
if it's anything in the creative field, if it's anything in the media field, people should just be
Mhm.
teaching you the more abstract concepts and use how to
Yeah,
use
exactly.
software or any platform
Or
in specific
tools. Yeah.
should be the
Mhm.
last thing you learn, because the tools
Yeah,
are always changing, the platforms are always
definitely.
changing.
And like nowadays, like if you see in many ways how things are produced, people use whatever tools are efficient and work at that time. No one
Yeah,
sticks to one software anymore.
exactly.
If you see pipelines that a lot of companies are using, if you see like Tom Moore, right, the
Yeah.
animator, I saw his latest film, dude. What is it called? Wolf Walkers. Wolf
Hmm.
Walkers. Amazing film. So for this film, he wanted to animate a scene which was like POV of a wolf running, you
Hmm.
know, and to animate that, one of his animators literally developed a software, like developed a like game in VR where they simulate a wolf running, wore that, experienced a wolf running POV through VR and then use that to animate it in 2D, which is like fucking crazy. Like no one would
That
do
is
that. You look
insane.
up references and blah blah blah, but that seemed like the most efficient way, right? You
Yeah.
create a simulation, 3D
And the
simulation,
most
look at
fun
it
way.
using VR. Yeah, look at it using VR and then translate that into 2D.
Yeah,
So
makes a lot of
there
sense.
are no limits and rules on what softwares to use anymore also. But I
Yeah,
think
that's
we're
true.
going back to our work episode than education.
But again, like
But yes, education.
I genuinely, this is like something I genuinely just been thinking about for years and years and years, and I'm glad that like I'm not going to be I'm not going to be that person here who's like, you know what, my system is the best. Any system that replaces the one we have currently, especially the ones that are gaining popularity
Yeah.
right now, are amazing. I would just like to tell one last thing before we can end it after that if you want. But my cousin brother is in this place called Mayapur. Okay, it's this place in ISKCON, and it's this place in India, which is the head of the central location for ISKCON. And they basically, what they do is they give teachers a small salary, but they give them food every day. They give them a place to stay. They take care of them in many other ways. And the children are given education in everything. Okay, I shit you not. Sid, you remember we were trying to build that brick oven? His entire class was taught how to make a giant brick oven, and then to reward them for building the oven properly, they next taught them how to make mozzarella cheese, and then
That's pretty
they
cool.
taught them how to make pizzas from scratch with dough,
That's pretty fun. Yeah.
and then they made pizzas, and then after that they made lasagnas because they're like, why not? And they
Yeah.
made the dough from scratch. this kid is so smart. I feel like an idiot in front
Totally, he
of
can
him.
do a lot. Yeah, he can like code and
Yeah,
like create like he learned a
yeah.
lot of shit. Yeah, and which
He's
is
building websites for
amazing.
15K, and he's not even done with his education. Dude, I kid you not, he
He
came
should
back,
be
okay?
charging more, but okay.
Yeah, he definitely should be charging more. Something happened, like he wanted a laptop, but his parents couldn't get him a laptop at the time due to some whatever reason. And this guy legit went back to old laptops and Frankensteined a new laptop for himself using spare parts and buying like only the parts that he needed. He
Oh
literally
wow.
built a laptop out of 5 different old laptops. He took the screen out of one, he took the keyboard out of one, he took the motherboard out of one.
Yes,
I'm
for
like,
his dad, it's
dude,
the
what?
same kid. But yeah, continue. He's asking, is it the same kid?
Yeah, this is the god one, basically. And
But also, like, yeah, that system is amazing. I agree, but like to be more open here, it has religious intentions
yeah,
behind it.
of course.
But yeah,
But here's the
just
thing
to let
that
the people know
the
out there.
the I don't know if I'm outing him or something over here, but that dude doesn't care about religion at all. So, like, he's just there for
He's
the
Bob. No
he's
one
just
knows
there
who
for the
Bob is,
fun.
so it's
Yeah.
okay.
And here's the thing. He came back. Okay, he was like, I miss my family a lot. I want to spend some more time with my siblings. He came back to Chennai and he joined school, regular old school. He quit school within 3 months and went back there because he was like, how the fuck is anyone living through this hellhole?
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
even
why.
I'm jealous of the kid. Like the kid calls me up and he's like, "Hey, you know Android, right?" I'm like, "Listen, I know very basic stuff, but I can give you like a basic understanding." He's like, "No, I already went through Google's documentation on a few things." And he's like, "Can you talk to me about this one particular part of the code?" I'm like, "Bro, what are you saying right now?" I'm like, I was like, yeah, I put apps on the app store, you know, and he's like, yeah, can you help me with this? I'm like, God freaking damn it, I have no idea what you're talking about. Zero.
No idea. Yeah. No, again, like, yeah, you don't need.
I'm surprised the parts
It
fit
depends
together.
on.
They don't fit together. The man has literally made a cardboard housing for it. I'm not saying it's the most efficient. I'm not saying it's the best design, but it works for what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And what's he doing again? He is literally just studying random shit. He's learning things
How
about
old is my
life.
guy?
Yeah, the guy is he's around 10th equivalent. What is that?
Oh, like
10th?
16?
Yeah, no, 16 is like
17?
16 is like 12th, right? I don't know. He's like
holy
he's
shit, like,
dude. I think he's like 14 or 15 right now.
being a genius boy. But anyways, yeah, pretty cool.
Tom says, "Oh,
But
then
yeah, it
that's
makes
simple.
sense.
Oh, it's a lot harder than you think it is. At least for people who don't, even though I know about tech, I can't Frankenstein a laptop. I'm pretty confident about my skills there."
Hmm. No, but yeah, it's pretty great. And yeah, like there are lots of like, yeah, that's, I love curriculums like that. You know, it would be a perfect place for me if it didn't have those religious intentions behind it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it would.
like stuff like that is amazing, where you learn, you know, different things and you learn how to build ovens and
Hey,
stuff.
look
I would have
look
loved
at
it.
Dan here. What a fucking liar. He says he's put together old ThinkPads and then he says he's 0% creative. How does that even make sense? Putting together ThinkPads is creative as fuck.
Yeah.
I like the
Everyone can
keyboard
do
from
that.
98, so I screwed it into the 07 and screen from 40. Come on! That's creative as fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
building
whatever
PCs
religious
is a
education
skill on
system
its
he's
own,
in.
dude. Like that's next level.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's in Mayapur. It's ISKCON owned. ISKCON is a
In West
sect of
Bengal.
Hinduism that loves Krishna in particular. That isn't
Yes.
creative.
Yeah.
You're wrong. What is wrong with you? If people can think to
We're gonna
make
start
their
talking
own
about
tech.
Linus Tech Tips.
Oh, dude, fuck. Oh my god. Okay,
This is not
Linus Tech
that
Tips.
episode,
Listen,
but yes.
Linus Tech Tips is hands down
He's
one
quite
of the
creative, you would
smartest
say.
guys I know. I've seen online. Okay, smartest freaking guys. The ThinkPad thing was following an online guy. So what?
What do you think people are doing when they're drawing and painting?
Yeah.
They're following rules and methods and techniques set by people before, or what they learned and everything. Everything is technique based. Don't
Exactly.
worry. There's nothing that you imagine.
Then we stand on the shoulders of giants, and it's our job to be the giant that the next person can stand on.
But
They're being
yes,
cool. You're being cool too. Anyway, also, we have like 15 viewers on Reddit, and we've had them for a while now. Guys, thank you very much for watching.
thank you
And
so
the
much.
Daily Bra gave us Take My Energy awards. So thank you for that.
You.
And I mean,
But
my one
I would
request
ask
is,
another
guys on
question.
Reddit, would love if you guys interacted with us a bit more, because we'd love to talk to more
Mm-hmm.
people. And yeah, go on.
Like, of course, like we're not gonna argue about the fact that education is necessary, right? Like not the system, but the concept. Like
The
it's
concept,
important for
definitely,
people
yeah.
to learn and understand about the world. And in a lot of countries, even right now, they cannot get access to it, which is
They
like quite
can't.
unfortunate, right? Or they
Yeah.
get access to the wrong kind of it,
Or
or
they're fed
and
propaganda. Yeah.
yeah, propaganda, which is happening a lot of places in our countries also, like where like literally the government is using education to change history and teach them like
Yeah.
their own version of history in order to bring them up in another way. So that's a way where it can go wrong. It goes in the opposite way, right?
Yeah.
And it is important to have the right system and like the and a more open system of education than blindly believe what you learn, because there are lots of concepts we learned in school, right, about the
Yeah.
world, which do change as we grow up, right? But a
Yeah.
lot of people hold on to those concepts you learn in school as like, I learned this in school, so this is it. I'll give you an example. Like for example, when we were in school, you learned about like how trees produce like 99% of the oxygen for the earth and like the Amazon and all this, right? But like nowadays
Yeah.
scientists found out like it's actually planktons in the
The
ocean that
planktons,
produce
yeah.
99%. And like, so what do you think about it in that regards, where you
I mean,
shouldn't also stick to what you're taught
that's
in school and try to upgrade your knowledge
yeah,
as
that's
you go
literally
on?
the biggest problem, right? Because our education system is just like,
Yeah,
we've done this way all this while, so we
yeah,
continue doing
yeah,
it this way. And like, no,
yeah,
the world, you see, changes every day.
yeah.
Also, I'm loving Dan's rant over here. Teach critical thinking to 5-year-olds, for the love of God. It's a natural subject. The entire book's on it. Just teach it. Let the kids think of their own concepts rather than teaching it to them.
Yeah,
Yes, I completely agree. Critical thinking should be taught, and
important. You should.
they should figure
Hmm.
out their own shit.
Hmm. Yeah, and you should give, and also it's important to tell people why you're teaching them this and how it would be
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah,
Like it is very important, and that actually helps people get interested in it, because you're like, oh, this is why I'm learning. Okay, this is the impact it will have. Then like actually just like like I know a lot of people like who've grown up, you know who've grown up like just learning whatever, believing whatever they're said, be like whatever they've been told, like be it religion or like in school, or my teacher told me this, so this is correct,
yeah,
this is how it is, kind of thing. And I see it, I see they still follow that throughout their life. Like whatever they're told, they're like, okay, I believe it. Like for me, when you're learning something, like no matter who, like even if it's like the right kind of information or the wrong kind of information, because you're going to come across both, right?
yeah,
Like it's important also how you perceive it, because it's not like, oh, I learned about this thing and this is right. It should be like I'm listening to it, and then I'm going to think about how it applies to me. Like if I think it's right or wrong, what I'm going to take from it, what I may disagree with, what I
hmm,
may want to test out and see if it works or not. Everything just shouldn't be like blind consumption, like this is right,
yeah.
this is right, this is right, this is right. You should have a process where
And think about it and
you
actually,
figure out if it's right for you or not,
yeah,
where I think critical thinking helps a lot,
of
which a lot
course.
of people don't have.
Not
But
open.
yes.
Okay, so Dan says it's education's too slow, but he doesn't
Hmm.
agree with open curriculums, because I don't know why. I mean, there's a I guess you can look into the concept a little bit. I think
Hmm.
you might have the wrong idea by what we mean by open curriculums in particular.
Yeah, open curriculums, you're still introduced to all the important concepts, but you're allowed to experiment and try and
Yeah,
specialize in
and
what you like. It's not like you don't have to learn anything except what you want. Like it's not
yeah,
that.
enjoyment of learning is
Hmm.
really important. I agree with that point.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's education, and we still haven't decided the topic for next
Education.
week. We shall. Do we have a topic for
Let you
next week,
know.
Steve?
Not yet, but
Not
let's
yet.
see.
Soon. But yes, we
Hmm.
shall let you guys know. And that's it.
Let
See
us
you
know on
guys
Discord if you
next
guys have
time.
suggestions for topics.
Yeah.
And we let you know if we come up with the topic in advance. We forgot to do it this time.
Yeah.
We forgot, right? But
We forgot,
we
yeah.
let you guys know in advance.
Yeah.
Because usually we decided right after this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And also, anyone on Reddit wants to talk to us a little bit more, you can come, you can join our Discord, or you can come join us on YouTube next time, because YouTube chat is usually very active. Except Control 9K got pissed today.
Yeah, if you're watching anywhere, by the way, wherever we are streaming, I don't know, TikTok or Instagram or whatever, I don't know if we still stream there, or like even if you're listening on Anchor, if you want the best experience, come to YouTube.
Yeah,
That's
because
what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, because that's like
Hmm.
the freaking stream works best on YouTube out of all of them, and then Reddit is just like lagging like crazy. What do you mean active? It's just me spamming. Don't flex. Hey, that's active. Okay, bye now.
That's actually.